On this episode of Overwatch This, we're talking about some proposed and dramatic changes to Bastion, some more proposed changes to D.Va and her defense matrix, and once again, we'll be talking about Roadhog's hook. Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Overwatch This. I am stand-in host Phil, and with me is stand-in expert Matt.
Hello.
We will do our best to step up to the plate. We've got a lot to talk about this week, actually. Let's start with the fact that there are now more than 25 million players of Overwatch.
Yeah, there's a lot of us, isn't there?
Yeah, that's really all there is to say about that one. We'll move on. There are some big changes to Bastion, which I'm quite happy about because I'm a Bastion main. I believe that's the parlance of the times.
They do say so, yeah.
So, Matt, why don't you talk us through what's going on at the PTR at the moment regarding Bastion?
Okay. Yeah, so he's not actually on the PTR yet. Phil, let's not jump the gun, but there are changes that are likely to come to the PTR. So at the moment, there's a lot of effort being put in at Blizzard to try and figure out what they're going to do with Bastion. I think he's a bit of a love or hate character. There are plenty of people that despise him for numerous reasons.
I don't think that's true. I don't think anyone despises him.
Well, I mean, he's an adorable robot with post-traumatic stress.
That's more like it.
He's gorgeous, but he is a problem in numerous ways. Either a lot of people find that he can be quite frustrating because you can get mowed down by him quite easily in Sentry mode. I think if people play him, which it sounds like you do a lot of, Phil, perhaps you find it a little bit frustrating because maybe when he's walking around in recon mode, he isn't quite good enough. Maybe you feel like you're absolutely obliterated when you're in Sentry and a Genji suddenly turns up and deflects bullets back at you.
Yeah, I don't like Genji, that's fair enough.
Yeah, no one likes a Genji when you're playing Bastion. So there's a lot kind of like that needs to be done. I think when he was sort of like first brought around, and so like especially when he was in sort of beta testing, people quite quickly realized that he's a really, really good defense kind of sentry gun. And so Blizzard made an awful lot of counters for him. So obviously having counters for characters is brilliant, but at the moment he's got so many different counters, and which can make you feel quite weak if you play as him. And also, like when you're in sentry mode, you need protecting essentially because there's nothing else that you can do. So you tend to find that there are people, like teams that end up dedicating themselves, so that there are 3 people to a Bastion team. You've got a Bastion, which is defended by a Reinhardt, who's got a shield up, and then you've got a Mercy that's piling the...
Wow, that is the dream.
Yeah.
I've never been on a team that's been that well organised, but that sounds absolutely just heaven.
Yeah, but that's a lot of demand, you know. That's 3 people to make an efficient Genji, to make an efficient Bastion team, should I say.
Yeah.
So you know, people are thinking about what they're going to do with him. So there's a refocus at the moment with the idea of turning him into a barrier smasher and a tank buster. That's mainly because at the moment there's this massive kind of tank meta that's going on in Overwatch. People are just playing tanks and, you know, fielding 3 tanks in a match, and there needs to be a way to even that out so that people aren't fielding so many. So the idea that Bastion could be good at mowing down tanks and, you know, reducing, you know, those big sort of 500, 600 HP characters, that's really important. There's also the point of making him less vulnerable in Sentry mode. So Jeff Goodman over at Blizzard has said, to that end, we're testing stuff like increased spread and removing headshots. We're taking less damage when transformed. So that's a massive kind of change, you know, even though it's proposed.
Surprised. Yeah, I find that quite surprising because I've never, while I've been playing Bastion, never thought, oh, it's such a shame or it feels unfair that I'm being taken apart while I'm moving around, because like obviously you are. That's the whole nature of the character. Just don't move around. Just never move. Plonk yourself down and just get on with the mowing people down and taking the hate.
So that thing though, isn't it, is when your like Bastion takes so long to reconfigure into Sentry mode. It's like if you're caught and you're cornered and you've got like there's a Genji that's having a go at you at one point and there's someone else. It's difficult to kind of take advantage of the situation, transform yourself and get out of the way. So maybe taking less damage whilst he is transformed, and, you know, especially like if he's having bullets ricochet back at him. And quite often when I'm playing Bastion, I'll find that by the time I've realised that a Genji is deflecting bullets back at me, it's too late. Like
they're
he's
already
deflected.
on their way back.
So maybe like if he takes less damage when he's transformed, it gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to react to the situation. Removing headshots is an interesting thing. I mean, it technically doesn't make sense, does it? You know, if you've shot someone in the head, you've shot someone in the head. But Overwatch isn't, you know, it's not Battlefield. We're not talking about trying to make a slightly more realistic interpretation. I can sort of see why that would be touted around as an idea, because when you are in sentry mode, you know, you can mow down people with absolute, you know, mad precision.
Yeah.
So I can understand why the idea of removing headshots might be an idea, and I think it would take the community to actually use it. I can imagine that would get outcry, but I think if the community uses it and finds that it does make, you know, it feels more fair if you're going up against a Bastion, because it's not like, you know, when you're trying to attack a point and there's just a Bastion absolutely mowing everyone down, it can feel impossible.
Yeah.
If that nerf is applied and it makes it feel less, you know, impossible to approach, that could work. Recon mode is, you know, potentially going to get a change, which is so when he's walking around, there's going to be less bullet spread potentially on the machine gun, and a much bigger magazine in the gun. So, you know, that might make him. It sometimes feels like Bastion's a bit useless when he's in recon. That might make him a more viable moving character.
It all sounds like everyone's going to hate Bastion even more. Those that do, like, I can't even kill him in recon mode now. Like. There's going to be increased hate.
We'll have to sort of like see when eventually this is. Obviously if they all decide to go through with these, this will come to the PTR and then we'll see. The thing that I think will annoy most people that find it difficult to kill a Bastion though, is that apparently the internal build of the new Bastion, you know, Bastion 2.0, Return of Bastion.
Bastion Origins.
Yeah, Bastion Boogaloo. Apparently his internal build currently has a self-repair that works when you're moving, which obviously at the moment he has to stay still for it to work.
Okay, well I like the sound of what they're doing there. So you're going to be still a massively powerful, damage-dealing, tank-killing, unbeatable lump when you're set down in sentry mode, but now you can run around, have a more precise machine gun, and you can heal yourself as well. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah,
okay,
and,
I'm interested.
And that self heal doesn't get interrupted when you take damage.
Well, that's good as well. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Okay, so there is, you know, this sounds like absolute nirvana for a Bastion main, but there is a hook back on it. It will be on a resource meter. So if anybody's used D.va since she was, you know, sort of changed up. This is going back months, but they changed her defense matrix, which is her bullet stopping ability. That is now on a resource meter. So when you right click, there's a little meter that drains. When it gets to the bottom, you can't use it anymore. So that is how they would balance out this sort of like self-repair system. So I think that's
basically there for when you are cornered and you know you don't have time to get into sentry mode.
Exactly.
You just hit the heal for a bit and spray and hope that someone turns up in time to save you.
Yeah, and you know the chances are, you know, Bastion's got a decent health pool. It's not going to be, that meter probably isn't going to allow you to completely heal. You know, whereas at the moment you can just sit and you know, hold down E and it will fill you completely up. I'd imagine.
I think it should probably completely heal you in about 2 seconds, but that's my input. I'll put that out there for Blizzard's consideration.
So, you know, and all of this is in aid of, so like Jeff Goodman says, that these changes have turned this ability from a more niche, rarely used ability to a much more powerful and core survivability tool. I think that's important. Like, it's very rare that I see people using the self-heal, maybe because it just feels such an inconvenience. You might as well just call out for a medic. But so it'll be interesting certainly when the next version of Bastion hits the PTR to see quite what these changes look like, if any of these changes make it into the PTR at all.
Elsewhere in the world of Overwatch, there have been some proposed changes to the way that D.va's defense matrix works, Matt.
Yeah, so as you'll know, there've been the changes to D.va on the 1.7 patch have not all gone down brilliantly. And since her armor values and things have been changed, she's a little bit more of a slightly squishier character than before.
She's really been through the mill in recent weeks.
Yeah, she has, you know. But obviously people have been talking about this on the Blizzard forums, and one of the suggestions that came out is that maybe to sort of like increase her use, perhaps something could be done to her defense matrix. Now, one of the suggestions is maybe defense matrix could project all the way around her rather than just in front, so it'd be capturing bullets from all around. So from rear attacks, side attacks, you know, on the flank. Another one was sort of like, well, perhaps D.Va's defense matrix could project a little bit further in front of her. So if she stands behind a character that's in need of defending, the defense matrix catches bullets for them.
Okay.
Right. Now, Jeff Goodman piped up and said, actually people can stand within the matrix, and you can sort of see that on screen when a D.Va's got it up. If you can stand within kind of like the projected wireframe that it projects up, you're normally going to be safe. But there is an important problem here in that the matrix, when it's on, it only stops bullets up to a small distance away from the muzzle that shot them. So even if if you've got like a Soldier 76 that's having a go at you from further away, yes, the defense matrix will stop the bullets coming at you, but there might be, let's say there's in real life there was like 6 inches of space between the muzzle and when that bullet gets disintegrated. When you've got someone that's really close to you, that means that the defense matrix won't actually catch it for a character that you're defending. This is really important for tactics like when Roadhog like hooks someone and shoots them point blank range.
Yeah.
If you got a character and it was trying to defend them with the defense matrix, that wouldn't prevent that. So Jeff Goodman said that there's a potential change that they're thinking about, and this change would remove the minimum distance so that projectiles are killed directly out of the muzzle of the enemy gun. So that would make the defense matrix an important guarding system, maybe akin to a little bit like Reinhardt's shield and the way that is used to protect allies.
I was going to say there's a potential to double down there with a Reinhardt shield and a defense matrix.
Yeah,
if it doesn't end up being a sort of 360 thing, you could sort of use it like Roman shields on each flank or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they do the 360 thing. I think that's just a little bit of an OP shield, basically. I think the idea of the defense matrix is that you bring it up and you use it like, as you say, like Romans used to hold like a big great shield in front of them. The idea is you stop what's in front of you. It's a counter for anybody that's, absolutely ramming on you from the front. I don't actually think that's the most important thing they should do with D.Va, as lots of other people have pointed out. It's actually her pilot form when she's ejected out of the mech. That's the thing that needs work. She's so weak in that form. The pistol's, relatively strong, but she's got nothing else that she can do when she's ejected out. I think they need to probably work on making her more viable.
She's a rubbish tracer.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
Would it help if they just sort of reverted back to the way she was about 4 months ago?
I'd probably say yes, but that's just because I'm a D.Va main, so...
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I kept that quiet. And now time for what's turning into a regular segment on Overwatch This. We're here to talk about Roadhog's hook once again.
Yeah, it's the big saga of Overwatch, isn't it? This bloody hook.
All right, what's the latest then?
All right, okay. So we all know that there was the massive kind of nerf to Roadhog in the 1.7 patch, which meant that the idea is that if an enemy that you were trying to use the sling hook with, if it wasn't in line of sight, you wouldn't be able to pull them back. So basically, if the person that you'd managed to catch kind of was going behind a wall or, was jumping down a ledge, something like that, you wouldn't be able to hook them back. And that makes a lot of sense. It's ridiculous, the fact that you used to be able to pull people around walls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that not all the coding has quite worked, and there are still ways out of this. So if a Roadhog has thrown its hook out and grabbed a character that can use a dash, like Genji, you'll still grab them and pull them back. So this has been shown by some guys on some forums, and they've made GIFs of it. If you just check our Overwatch kind of news output, you'll be able to see these GIFs, and we'll probably put a description sort of tag in. Basically, you can see they've got a Roadhog stood in front of a Genji, and they get the Genji to dash past the Roadhog just as Roadhog throws out his hook. And he basically essentially pulls the Genji back over his shoulder, back in front of him, and then obviously gives you the chance to do the point-blank shot.
And that's mid-dash.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And this seems to be in effect on any sort of character that has got, like, as part of their system mechanics, like a dash or a jump. So apparently this can work with Winston's jump as well. So he can be jumping out the way as you've hooked them, and you'll still be able to wrench them back.
I see that happen a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think it's unfair. Part of me thinks, well, sort of like if you'd managed to hook them in real life, the chain would go with them, so you'd be able to pull them back.
Yeah.
But it's a game and things need to be fair, and I do think that there's probably certainly a need to make sure that this is fixed. It's something that really annoys the Overwatch community, and it's clearly, unbalancing and ruining the game for a lot of people. So we can see that the start has happened in 1.7, but there's clearly still work to do.
I think they fix it. they make Bastion that bit stronger. There is no stronger counter to a Roadhog who's acting up and just laying into him as Bastion.
Just slam that HP down to 0, yeah. Whatever we see, we can almost guarantee that there will be, on the next PCR, there will be extra changes to Roadhog's hook. And that's almost a guarantee, yeah.
Well, we'll keep you informed with that with next week's Overwatch This, in which we'll inevitably be talking about the hook again. Thanks very much for joining us for this time. For more like this, then hit the subscribe button below and remember to ring that bell. Let us know what you thought about this episode in the comments below. And if you're feeling generous, give us a thumbs up. We like that.